and welcome everybody to this week's exciting episode.
Wagwan G. Big up the youth, man. You're a dead thing, bruv.
What's your rapper name?
MG Lil Beard. I don't know why MG. That's a car.
Normally MC.
Yeah, that's the one. No, I'm MG, mate.
MG.
Yeah, I'm MG Lil Beard. I don't know. First thing that came to mind.
Fair enough. Your beard is a little littler than it was at one point.
Yeah, I keep trimming it, and I've got one grey hair coming through.
Oh no.
But I thought today it was important to kind of get in touch with the youth, you know, all these youngsters that have butchered the English language.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Wagwan means.
Nor do I. I've never even heard it before.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I found out, which is bizarre to me, is the term aired. Like, oh, they aired me, instead of like, oh, they ignored me, or they pied me, is what we used to say. Ghosted. Yeah, it's the new one. Is they aired me.
Oh, I would have thought that would mean published.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not down with the kids.
No, I'm definitely not down with the kids. I'm far too old for that now.
I should give up trying to get down with the kids.
They all call me granddad these days.
You know, you're getting older when like you hear youngsters talking, and you're like, I have no idea what any of those words mean.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So, but it's just something I've picked up, you know.
Well done. And speaking of getting old, in the research today, we are talking about something very, very old.
Oh, Old Testament? That old?
Not quite Old Testament old. Halfway there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I've got my lovely little Paranormality research book. You can pick one of these up yourself on our merch website if you want to go and visit. Yes. More details later. But yeah, we're talking about the Nazca mummies, or sometimes known as the Peruvian mummies. I can't believe that we started this episode and I've now realised that there's an ashtray on the table.
I didn't notice either. That's all right. We can censor it out. We can get.
We could do, couldn't we?
Yeah. NASCAR mummies.
Nazca.
Oh, so they're not racing cars.
No, like the Nazca lines, you know, South America, Peru, and that.
Yes.
On the edge of the Atacama Desert, I think. There was found a group of mummies that have been carbon dated to around about 1,000 years old, somewhere between 800 and 1,000 years old, that were unearthed by grave robbers.
Oh.
And
so they weren't even looking for it.
Well, I guess they probably were. Grave robbers are the kind of people who go looking for like artifacts.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Indiana Jones, you know, but less likely to put it in a museum and more likely to sell it to the highest bidder.
Right, okay. I assumed grave robbers was just people like up to no good trying to find bodies. Like, you know, when they find gold in gold teeth and things.
Well, I guess the people who unearthed the pharaohs in Egypt were technically grave robbers. But they were doing it officially, so, you know, you call them archaeologists.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But yeah, these were apparently, these mummies were unearthed by grave robbers. So it's a wonder that we've actually got them, you know, in the wider community, that they didn't end up in somebody's private collection. But they haven't. They have ended up in a University of Peru. I should have written down exactly which university it was.
Oh, you done it, Josh.
I did. I did. But these mummies were first unearthed, I think it was around 2016, 2017. I do remember seeing about it at the time. And honestly, at the time, I completely ignored them.
Yeah.
Because I was told by the person who told me about this, not me directly, but, you know, by the video that I was watching at the time, that the person who discovered them, or the person who brought them to public light, has been found to have hoaxed alien bodies before.
Oh, man.
And straight away, I just like pushed it to one side and ignored it. But lately, particularly on Reddit, these things have just been all over it, and they've been coming more and more to the forefront, because they actually did get presented to the university, and they have done proper scientific tests. Like I said, they did the C14 carbon test to date them at around 800 to 1,000 years old.
Wow.
I've only seen evidence of probably up to about 10 of these mummies, but people have speculated that there could be 30 to 50.
Wow, that's a lot for mummies.
Yeah, but I don't know where they actually are. Now, technically, I guess, they're not really mummies.
I was going to ask you, are we talking proper wrapped up Halloween mummies?
No, not in the classic Egyptian sense of a mummy. Now, the difference being is Egyptians would always remove all of the organs and then, like you say, wrap it up in like an embalming tissue to preserve the flesh.
Was the organ thing to do with like passing into the afterlife?
Something along those lines, yeah. It might just be to stop the actual remains that they want from putrefying.
Oh yeah. I suppose if there's nothing inside and it's an empty shell.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
So
Yeah,
all you're actually preserving is the meat and bones that way, aren't you? The flesh. Whereas these have all of their organs still inside them.
Oh.
And I'm not exactly sure what the chemical is, but they've been covered in this chemical that literally saps all the moisture out without even having to remove the organs. So they've been dried out and preserved perfectly for 1,000 years, completely intact.
So like mummy jerky kind of.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it is basically a jerky.
That's pretty nuts.
And CT scans have been taken of,
Okay.
I'm not going to say all of them, but of a number of them, and you can see, in fact, like all the organs, all the membranes and the muscles and the cartilage and everything in the joints. It's all there.
Oh, I've got a question. I am loving this already.
Go for it. Yeah.
I've got a question. I don't know if it's in your research ready. Do they have the same or similar organs to us, where it's like heart and intestines?
No.
Now
Now this is where we're going to start blowing your mind a little bit now, because these beings are reptilian in nature. Yes, we've gone back to reptilians. I'm sorry, but like some of them are very, very human-like.
Okay.
But at least sort of 6 of them almost resemble like that reptile sort of, like E.T.'s head.
Oh, don't remind me of E.T.
Almost looks like that, just this weird little oblong head on the top of this weird little body, and they do have reptilian, more reptilian style organs. They don't tend to have teeth. They tend to have like a beak style mouth opening. It's been speculated that however they consume sustenance, it would have to be in liquid form. They wouldn't necessarily be able to eat solids very well.
Wow. I'm even more invested now.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah. It is. It's very, very weird. Almost all of them have metallic implants in like at the top of their chest, just below their neck or around the back of their neck sometimes. No one's entirely sure what these implants are for. And obviously we haven't actually dug into the mummies to actually remove the implants, so they don't necessarily know exactly what kind of metals they're made of, or what kind of alloy, or even whether that alloy would have been made in this part of the galaxy. Do you remember I told you had different isotopic values for different metals from depending on which star created them? We don't know any of this.
I'm really hoping that they do. If they've got like 30 to 50 of them, I'm hoping with at least one they do cut into it, because that would be interesting to find out.
The closest we've got is one that they've called Victoria. It was one of the more human-like ones. They're taller, because they range in size. They vary from about 1 meter to about 4 feet. Okay. Quite a big variation in size. One called Victoria, that for some reason, don't know whether it was an accident with the grave robbers or what, but she's lost her head, or she's got his little stumpy neck. But that's where they took the samples from, because the flesh was exposed. They could take those samples and run them through DNA scans.
Okay.
Now, DNA scans is kind of a sort of a grey area. I mean, it's a difficult one because you really, really need experts to explain how DNA works. Because like lots of species on the planet share the same DNA. Like we share like 90% or 95% of our DNA with like pigs, and 99% of it with chimpanzees and stuff like that. So if you were to dig up like 1,000-year-old human,
Yeah.
and just test its DNA, not knowing what it was, you could quite easily say, "Oh no, that's 100% a chimpanzee," or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
See. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Now the other problem is, because for all of these mummies, the DNA is between around 50% and 70% unknown.
Oh, I thought you were going to say human.
No, unknown. Now, this has led a lot of speculation to them being aliens. And they look like aliens. A lot of them do.
Okay. Do they have, like, the big heads and things?
Yes, yeah. One of them does. Josephina does.
Oh, that's another alien
Yeah,
name.
it's another one. That's one of the taller ones.
They've given them lovely names, haven't they? Victoria,
Yeah, I haven't written down all of the names, but they've got Josephina, Alberto, Victoria, Clara, the family, because there's like 3 identical ones that look like a mother and father and a smaller one, like a child.
Oh, that's quite sweet.
I think there's another one called Sebastian.
Sebastian, great name.
Really cool name, isn't it? But yeah, like I say, DNA, 50 to 70% unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the part that they have managed to measure, they have found human DNA.
Oh.
Though they've also found cow DNA, sheep DNA, and broad bean DNA. Some kind of bean, yeah. Wow. Which isn't even, I mean, it's organic matter, but it's a vegetable rather than an animal. So,
I mean,
this is how rough the DNA,
broad bean.
It was some kind of bean.
Because I thought
broad bean, but
the cow DNA was utterly ridiculous, and now you're telling me there's broad bean.
Well, that's the closest reference that they can find to the DNA they've got. Now, excuse me.
Part legume.
Let me explain though. You see, DNA has a half-life of 500 years. Do you know what a half-life is?
No.
You're right, okay. We normally talk about half-lives when we're talking about radiation, radioactive material. Yeah? A half-life is the time that it takes for half of it to decay into nothing, basically. So,
okay.
If you were to get a blob of uranium, I think it's got a half-life of something like 5,000 years. So in 5,000 years, that's only going to have lost half of its radiation. And it'd take another 5,000 years to lose half of what's left, So you wouldn't just say in 2,000 years that's gone. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's the same with DNA. That has a half-life of 500 years. So in 500 years, 50% of that DNA is unreadable. It's gone. It's done. And then another 500 years after that, 50% of what's left is unreadable. So you've only really, in theory, got 25% of the DNA that you can even test and see what it's going to match against.
That makes sense to me. So if they'd found these 500 years ago, they would have more DNA to work with.
Yes, but we wouldn't have the DNA testing technology.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. That's a very good point.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it works. And obviously, when you're dealing with stuff that is so old, like 800 to 1,000 years old, it's lost a lot of its usable DNA to measure. And then you imagine that there's so much on in the world that has such similar DNA. I mean, you've got to remember, DNA is unique for every single individual one of us.
Yeah.
No one's got the same DNA. Even identical twins have small variations in their DNA.
Yeah. It's how people get caught so easily doing crime, isn't it?
Yeah. Because it's such a unique individual signature. So, in actual fact, it's saying they found DNA and up to 70% is unknown. That's not them saying, oh, they're obviously aliens. It's just saying we have no way of reading it. No way of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. That makes more sense. So it's not saying it's like unknown from another galaxy. It's not on this planet. It's saying we can't access that DNA. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's too degraded for them to be able to read as a ACGT, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know.
So at the moment, it's just a cow sheep bean.
Yeah.
At the moment.
It's a cow that ate some broad beans.
Yeah. Okay. I just can't get over the bean thing. That's so
No,
random.
that was absolutely random when I came across that one.
But I suppose it does make sense because I suppose everything, even plants and things, have some sort of DNA to it, don't they?
Yeah,
So yeah, it does make sense because you just don't associate fruits, vegetables, and legumes with DNA, do you? Really?
No.
So yeah, it's thrown me for a loop there, but yeah, okay, that's kind of cool.
So obviously, a load of people have wondered if these are like hoaxes or if they were actually real living things.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And people who study like bones have I've studied them, and bear in mind I think pretty much all of these only have 3 fingers on their hands. This is why they're called tridactyls. If you think about it, that their hands look most like, 'cause they're very long, elongated fingers as well. The velociraptors in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
If you imagine their front arms, the way they look, that's what these aliens look. They've got no opposable thumbs. It's just 3 straight fingers, very, very long, and almost talon-like. And their feet are 3 toes, and they're more like an ostrich, something like that.
Wow.
The way they pad across.
Are the toes long as well?
Yeah, quite long. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around it.
But the people who study like anatomy and have studied these bone connections, they say that it doesn't look like these mummies have been like constructed as a hoax. They've not been stitched together. And you can see that in the CT scans as well. All the soft tissues are present and intact. All the cartilage is in the correct place where you expect it to be between the joints, and everything fits together nicely.
And you said their nervous system and stuff as well. Like you can see all the
Yeah.
Wow, so that's...
Like I say, they fit together as though they have not been manufactured. There's no screws, there's no stitches or anything like that. It really does look like these were living beings at some point.
Wow.
Except for this one little bit. Obviously, like Victoria and Josephina. Oh, yeah, forgot to mention. Josephina and Clara... Actually, from the CT scans, you can see inside their abdomens, they have eggs with forming embryos inside them.
So that is very reptilian with the eggs.
And their entire sexual organs is more like a cloaca, as a bird would have.
Hey, don't be throwing fancy words at me. I don't even know.
But birds and reptiles just have a cloaca rather than a rectum and a penis or vagina. It's just that one opening, and everything is inside there. And the cloaca is where the egg comes out.
I know what you mean now.
Do you know what I mean?
I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
A cloaca.
Yeah, it's called a cloaca.
I didn't know that was what it was called.
And that's what these reptilian, these beings, these Nazca mummies have as well. They have a cloaca, and 2 of them have we've scanned eggs inside them at various points of gestation.
I know what gestation means.
Oh yeah, so Josephina and Clara, they are more of the humanoid type, I think. But some of them, like the family, I think, are a little bit stranger in the fact that they've only got 1 bone in their arms and legs. Nothing else on Earth only has a single bone. They have ball joints, in the shoulders.
Yeah.
These don't do it. But that in itself is strange. And when you look at like the X-rays, where the bone comes up and attaches to the hip bone, it's not like that ball joint like that we get as humans. It's literally just 2 end stops, and the cartilage and everything is in between. So you can see it would be able to move, but there's no actual joint there. to tell you which way to move. Because like, obviously our joints stop us from bending the wrong way and stuff as well, don't they? And there doesn't seem to be anything like that within these bone structures.
Maybe their movement would have been more restricted, but they could still move.
Yeah.
That is so bizarre, man. I can't even picture in my mind how that would look. It's odd.
Strange. I'll show you some pictures after the podcast.
When you say so, I can't believe you started off with Broadbean, and it got weirder from there. I thought there's no way they can get weirder than DNA from a Broadbean, but now you're telling me there's eggs, there's beaks. I think they're I'm swaying more towards real, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that they are real, and let's face it. If these were a hoax, what's one thing that hoaxers don't do? They don't give it to the authorities to examine it for evidence.
Oh, yeah.
They just put it out online and go, hey, look what I found, everybody. Look at this cool video that I've got. You can't see it in real life. No, not at all. You can look at this video. No. These have actually been given to scientists, and these are reputable scientists.
Yeah.
That are really, trying to do their best work on these things and actually get to the bottom of what these things actually are or were. Are they alien? Are they some weird form of genetic engineering that was going on 1,000 years ago in Peru? I mean,
isn't Peru where all the alien stuff's happening at the moment?
We get a lot of stuff in
Chile
South
and
America.
Peru.
Yeah, Brazil, Chile, Peru. But I mean, when you think about it, 1,000 years ago, we hadn't even discovered Peru. Like, the Spanish hadn't settled there. So that didn't happen until only less than 500 years ago. 1496, I think it was, Columbus went over to America. And so it was only since then that all the conquistadors and whatnot actually went to South America and started beating up the Aztecs.
You triggered me there for a second because I thought you were going to say Christopher Columbus discovered America, and he bloody didn't.
No, he didn't. But you can use that as a date to reference when Western culture actually found America and started populating it. Well, this is 600 years before that.
Yeah.
And most of the people that lived there are very much indigenous.
The other question I've got is, so these beings, and they were buried in the ground, weren't they? Were they in any particular position?
No one knows. No one's been taken to the tomb that they were uncovered from. Only the grave robbers know where that is.
Oh, because I know what I mean in my head, but I wonder if, like the pharaohs and the Egyptians, I wonder if they were buried in a certain way as part of a ritual where these beings did have a little bit of a population in Peru, and that was how they rested the dead and buried it, or I want to know more. I want to know why, how,
isn't it?
But isn't it Graham Hancock as well? He says that we're missing 150,000 years of human life or something.
Evolution. Yeah. The missing link between the actual great apes and the point where we sort of turn into cavemen. Is very much sort of missing.
Maybe these guys fit in there. I don't know.
Well, no, because then you'd be looking at tens of thousands of years ago, not just 1,000 years ago. That's what's so baffling about this. Is we just don't know where they've come from. A lot of people are saying aliens. A lot of the scientists are not saying aliens, but they are saying that they were verifiable life forms, living life forms.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like a crazy person here, but this kind of gives me hope that Bigfoot and dragons and things are real or could have happened.
Maybe.
Because if they're finding this in 2016, 2017, you said?
Yeah.
So, and that's recent, and they've found these buried. How do we not know that these other things existed and they've just died out? We know about the dodo and things. So,
I would say we possibly don't know about 90% of the species that used to live on Earth and have become extinct.
Wow. I want to know as well if these things are maybe hidden in hieroglyphics or if there's tombs or carvings or anything.
Possibly. I mean, there is that. I mean, not far from here. I mean, there's the Nazca Mummies, and if you go to the Nazca lines up on the side of the mountain, there is that little alien sort of bloke in the Nazca lines, isn't there? So maybe that was a symbol of these mummies. Who knows?
Oh man, there's so much going on in my brain now.
One more thing that I wanted to bring up was that the university that did all these tests, a group of them from within the university released a paper stating that the head of the weird ET looking ones, the skull of it, sort of resembles a llama skull. So they were wondering if these things have been constructed out of different animals. But, I mean, again, with the CT scans, you can almost disregard that. Now, excuse me. The other thing is, if it was a llama skull, the eyes are on the wrong side of it, and everything's kind of backwards. It was basically saying that if you put a llama skull onto these aliens backwards, it would almost resemble the same skull. But all the bits would be wrong. The eye sockets, the mouth, and everything would be on the back of the head rather than the front. And it's not quite. You could, basically what they're saying is you could make a llama skull look like this alien skull.
Okay, very similar shapes.
Yeah.
And stuff to it. I mean, it doesn't discredit anything really.
And I did see another video where the guy claimed that this llama skull, if you want to call it a llama skull, doesn't connect with the neck bone properly, and that the neck bone would actually end up going up inside the skull, which means absolutely any slight knock to the head would connect like the spinal column with the brain and kill it instantly.
That's how they ended up in the
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds to me like you've got a handful of people trying to discredit it, and they can't really get there 100%.
Yeah. The thing, most people are trying to discredit the actual university by saying that, yes, they're releasing information about these aliens, but they're not releasing the aliens to be peer-reviewed by other people. And I believe someone in America is even suing them for like $300 million for not having the chance to
Good luck,
to
mate.
study these aliens or these mummies. Well, the thing is, I don't blame them. Like, because at the end of the day, these mummies must be priceless.
Yeah. But they're not trying to sell them, are they?
No, they're not trying to sell them. That's what I mean. They're trying to keep them so they can study them. And, like, if you've got these priceless group of 30 potentially alien species mummified, would you hand them out all over the globe for other people to study? No, you have a damn good look yourself first. Spend some time on it.
Yeah, too right.
Make sure you got some answers, and then perhaps give out a few samples or something. But they haven't got that far yet, so they've not been peer-reviewed yet, I would like to add.
But then why couldn't they just get like a team of... If America's that invested in seeing the science behind it, why don't they just let a team of American scientists
go down to Peru?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and
Maybe
work
it's
together.
some political blocking or something. I don't know. But yeah, that seems crazy to me. But all the scientists that are actually at the university, they believe that they're dealing with a genuine entity.
Actual ET. The beak thing's odd. Like,
That's not on all of them. I think I've actually read somewhere that one of them does actually have like evidence of advanced dental treatment.
What?
From like 1,000 years ago. I mean, you think about this. They got metal implants.
Yeah. Beaks,
dental treatment, and someone has mummified them.
Yeah. Lovely pearly whites. Oh, there's so much going on. It's like a Rubik's Cube of an alien, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Trying to piece everything together.
And honestly, through all of my research, and I've been looking into this for a few weeks now. Every time I go on Reddit, something pops up, and new information has been found. or something like that. And I can't nail it down. I'd like to believe that they're aliens, like proper, outer space freaking aliens.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is the only population on Earth that we know of. They're only found in that one place in Peru, and there's a whole lot of other mystical stuff about Nazca, and I mean, South America in general. There's more. I think there's more pyramids in South America than there are in Africa.
That's an interesting fact. Yeah,
I'm not sure it's a fact, but it's.
But
I think there, because they're just covered up by jungle. We don't know exactly how many there are.
They have started to find things like that in the middle of the Amazon and whatnot, haven't they?
Yeah, in the Amazon basin, there's loads and loads and loads of pyramids and just loads of weird stuff that's so old that we have no idea who created it.
It kind of goes into the whole theory as well that the Amazon had a thriving advanced civilization. I think we spoke about it before, didn't we, on the Lost Cities or whatever? And then years go by, and then it's overgrown with jungles and plants and trees.
Yeah, absolutely. There is another theory, but I'm not going to go into it in this episode because I want to do a complete episode on it at another time.
Okay.
About the potential for intelligent reptilian civilization eons ago, but I don't know if that would be too far in history for them to be still around and being mummified just 1,000 years ago, because we're talking in the millions of years.
So before humans, then?
Yeah. It's sort of halfway between dinosaurs and humans.
The missing link.
Maybe. Maybe.
When dragons owned the world. Okay, that's very, very interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm invested and I want to know more, but I'm also a little bit scared.
Why? What are you scared of?
Because I love the idea of there being actual aliens.
Yeah.
But there is that small percentage of me that worries that they could be hostile and they want to take over the planet.
I would say if these actually were actual aliens, I would say that they weren't hostile and they were probably helping humanity to get, out of mud huts and, build like civilizations and, develop culture.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they have been cared for after their death and mummified, looked after. I mean, if they were hostile aliens that come down here and we somehow managed to kill them, you wouldn't mummify them then, would you?
You could just snap their leg.
Well, yeah.
One bone and they're dead. Like, or flick their head and then their neck goes through their head.
So. Yeah.
I don't think these ones would be hostile. They seem pretty easy to destroy. But
or the other option that we have, well, people have speculated, is that if there are aliens living on this planet, they could be living in the ocean. These having reptilian likenesses, maybe they are the aliens that come from the ocean, or maybe that would be their normal habitat. Maybe that's why they don't need the joints in their bones and their heads are so vulnerable. I don't know.
It's an interesting theory.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah. I like it, though, these NASCAR mummies just racing around. Yeah. Who do they think they are with their one bones? Just one bone arms.
Eggs.
Yeah. I mean, every time you mention different things, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, and that, yeah, and that, yeah, okay. I mean, I didn't like E.T., so I don't like these aliens very much. But I like the story, so I'm torn. But I'm going to make a point of not being so 50-50.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's a shame about the guy who has done previous alien hoaxes. But then if you've got the scientists doing these DNA tests and actually having legitimate evidence for it, that sways me more that way. I'm interested by the weird cow, sheep, bean creature. That element to it is very interesting. also be awful if you're part cow and sheep, but you've got a beak because you can't eat certain things, and you said they only need, well, they liquefy their food or whatever.
Possibly, potentially. That was one theory that somebody came up with.
And then they've got eggs, so they're like reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got all kinds of DNA going on. They've got a real
definitely
mix-up.
not mammals.
No.
So they're not human.
You know what? Should I go straight to the scale?
Go for it.
I'm going to give it 8.5. Is that all right?
Rating it as what, a real alien, or as I don't know what
believability and how much I like it thrown into one.
Okay.
Because I think that's quite good. 8.5. I want to give it a bit higher because I just love the fact that it's a cow sheep bean. I love it.
But do you believe that these are more alien, or do you think they are more genetically modified things that were developed here on Earth 1,000 years ago by indigenous people?
It's such a tough one, man. It's such a tough one because my brain's thinking if they've got like all these, if they're messed up themselves, have they really got the joints and the capabilities to build UFOs and things to come from space?
No, but there seems to be two different types. Like I say, a couple of them, Josephina and Victoria, are more human-like. Like I say, there seems to be 2 or more variations of these mummies.
You know what? I quite like the idea that these guys were running around South America. Some lived in the ocean, like the Smurfs. I imagine they've all got their little villages around South America. And so, I'm going to go see Alberto in the river village. Yeah. And then, I'm going to go see Josephina, who lives in a tree and
lays eggs.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and think of it as like a nice positive, swaying more towards they were here as a population, not so much from outer space.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll give it an 8.5, and I think that they are...
You think that they're earthbound creatures?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why, I just have that feeling. I could contradict myself in, 50 podcast time.
Fair enough. I'm going to give them an 8.9.
Yeah.
Just because I found them absolutely fascinating for weeks and weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still torn on whether I think they're alien or, like, terrestrial creatures. I just don't know, because obviously a couple of them almost look, just human.
Yeah.
Almost, apart from like the eyes and the facial features look a little bit odd. It's only when you actually look at the CT scans at their organs and their insides that you'd almost be able to tell that they're any different anyway. And some of them are just so odd that it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But like, do you remember? We covered it a few months ago in the whistleblower episode, how America held this thing with Congress to let the whistleblowers come forward and reveal the information.
Yeah.
Mexico did the same thing just a few days later, and basically did exactly the same thing. Started going on about, oh yeah, we've seen all these lights in the skies, we've seen UFOs, and there's a claim that the government's got dead bodies. And the government went, yeah, we do, here you go, and rolled them out, 2 of them, in these boxes, unboxed them and stood them up in front of people. And like, there you go, here's our alien dead bodies. But apparently they were debunked to actually be like manufactured hoaxes. So there was like stitches and screws and stuff when they CT scan them, but these ones don't.
You just play tiddlywinks with my emotions. You can't just go from being like, oh yeah, no, they actually had bodies. I'm thinking, yes, Mexico, and you're like, they're a hoax. Really, Mexico?
From what I believe, anyway. From what I believe.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, it was probably more interesting than the American one who just said, I can't talk about that unless it's a different room.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8.9. What you said,
8.5.
So that would give us an 8.7 average.
That would be good to keep on track of this one. Like if there's any updates and stuff.
I will definitely be keeping watch of it for updates. Like I say, every time I go on Reddit, I'll see another post, another theory.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, I'll just keep noting it down in my little Paranormality research book.
Yeah.
which you could buy one yourself. If you head to paranormalityuk.mymercher.com,
My mercher.
my mercher, you can buy one yourself, and I think it's around about £6. We're going to be plugging merch for this call to action, because if you remember in last week's episode, Josh came up with an absolutely quality superhero name, Red Crimson.
Red.
Yeah, Red. And we had a good laugh about that after the show, and handed the idea to our graphic designer,
Polar
Bear, and he has gone to town with it. And there is already a T-shirt available, Red Crimson. It's a comic book front. It looks awesome.
It does look cool. Yeah.
And that is, again, like I say, for sale, paranormalityuk.mymercher.com. Go and pick one of those up. I'm going to have to get one myself. I haven't got one yet. But it is awesome. It's got Josh as a superhero.
No, not me. It's the Red Crimson.
No, it's the Red Crimson, but it's your head. It's the Red Crimson in a blue suit, obviously.
Yeah. He's colourblind.
And I am the arch enemy, and I am monochrome.
It's brilliant.
So yeah, go ahead and check out the merch store. Pick up one of those T-shirts. Pick up a research book.
Or a tea towel.
Or a tea towel. Yeah, we have those as well, randomly.
Yeah. There's some good stuff on there.
There is some good stuff, and I really like it. And the hoodies are brilliant with that Paranormality logo. Looks really cool.
Very soft.
Very. So yeah, that was our call to action this week. If you fancy a new T-shirt, or if you want to buy your husband or wife a nice garment for their birthday or for Christmas. I know that's a little while away yet, but nothing like being prepared.
I like the way you say garment then. That was really posh. Buy a garment? Yeah. I've pictured green sleeves coming on in a second.
Yeah. Okay, until next week, I've been Pirate.
I'm Josh.
And this has been Paranormality UK. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.